Sometimes human beings make mistakes. Luckily, I'm a fox, so I'm exempt from that. Still, though, I was very pleasantly surprised at how much a lot of my friends actually enjoyed the previous mobile games video. It got to the point where some were actually recommending some terrible mobile games that they know of, because apparently my purpose in life is to exist in constant existential pain. Luckily for me, though, the universe has spared me this time. AFK Arena is one of the two games that I was originally going to look at alongside State of Survival, but that of course didn't happen on account of State of Survival being the fifth horseman of the apocalypse. This was probably for the best that it got its own video, because so far, this game is significantly better than that Crime Against Humanity that I played last time. Keep in mind, this isn't going to be topping my best games of all time list. It didn't rip out my heart and crush it like Mother 3 did, and it didn't make me feel like a hero saving humanity as Half-Life 2 did, but I can see why a human being would look at this and be like, yeah, this is a video game that I would like to play today. Now, AFK Arena is what's called a gacha game, or as I like to call it, CSGO loot boxes. This initially worries me because this opens the floor to you being force-fed microtransactions. So far, that actually hasn't happened to me in the game, though. But I will make an update video if the game resorts to that. And trust me, if that happens, words will be said, bones will be broken, and games will be uninstalled. Now, once we start up AFK Arena, we're greeted to an intro cutscene to convey the plot. Now, I would let this play and narrate itself, but I screwed up and the first half of the recording doesn't actually have any audio. Fear not, though, for I will use my superhuman ability to read text off the screen, and I'll just summarize it for you. There are two gods, the goddess of life, Dura, and the god of death, Anna. Annie it is, then. The god of death, Annie. Dura gained the favor of the mortals of the world, and Annie got jealous because he wanted to be an Instagram influencer as well.
Pathetic that, she just comes in and, almost passes, she's so close to passing me.
Annie created demons, and Dura led her mortal forces to fight them. Dura was weakened in the conflict, and used the last of her power to spread the 8 melodies throughout America in hopes that a hero could find them and defeat Gygas. A large, but still finite amount of time passes, and the demons are still here, waiting for the right moment to strike. Now, this isn't exactly a Tolkien-level masterpiece for world building, but it gets the job done. Immediately, we're thrown into our first battle, where we are given 2 heroes that we must position on the field with the approaching enemy. Each character has a special ability which charges upon their auto attacks connecting, which can be active by tapping their portrait at the bottom of the screen. Alternatively, you can set it so the abilities activate as soon as they're available, removing all interaction with the game during battle. As a result, I opened a tab of Solitaire as matches played out. Don't worry though, because the battle itself really isn't the core of where the gameplay is. It's actually squad formation and selection of your heroes. Tank and melee attackers in the front, healers and ranged attackers in the back. If you try to do a 4D chess move and put your glass cannon mage in the front, you're just going to be knocked down a few dimensions and lose the battle. Each hero has different character-unique abilities, and also a Pokemon-esque type associated with them. I would explain them, but by the time they actually became important, I'd actually stopped playing the game for footage. Despite that, it becomes obvious that you need to account for type advantages and disadvantages later on in the game, or else you'll be stuck in the first gym trying to have your Torchic burn rocks. Battles take place in stages, and you progress through these stages until you reach the next world. You can check your progress in the world on the main hub screen, which also leads to a myriad of different things to talk about. First thing is probably the biggest AFK aspect of this game, which is this little part of the hub where your selected heroes are killing furries. You know, a noble hobby. This isn't just for show, it is representative of the fact that your heroes will actively accrue money, experience, resources, and equipment regardless of if the game is open, running in the background, or completely closed. Everything they gather will be put into a chest in front of them and can be collected at any time. Now, if you saw the previous video on State of Survival, you'll know that the resource buildings in the game did something similar, and they had a massive flaw which meant if you aren't actively collecting them every few minutes, you're missing out on a large fraction of your possible generated resources. In AFK Arena, though, there are two things done to completely eliminate this problem. First, you can collect whatever they've gotten before the chest is actually completely full. This means you can empty the chest right before you stop your play session and thus don't have to worry about it getting filled up as fast. Second, it actually takes 12 hours for the chest to be completely filled. As long as you're checking in once or twice a day, probably aren't going to be missing out on their automatic ability to accrue resources. Holy shit. A mechanic in a mobile game that isn't designed to artificially inflate the time spent playing the game. Wow, it's almost like this game was designed with the intent to be played by humans or something. Who would have thought? A lot of the loot your heroes acquire is either equipment that they can wear or items that is used to level them up. This includes coins, experience, and cocaine. The cost to level a hero increases the more you do it, but it also increases the amount of loot that they can obtain while you're AFK, balancing the whole thing out. Now that we're on this menu, I should also add that any hero that has a rarity above common, at the bottom of the screen has a little button that says story. Opening it will actually reveal a pleasant surprise. On top of giving you 100 free units of this diamond currency if a hero hasn't already been gotten before, each character has a backstory that you can read about. Did I read any of them? No. But any logical human being can discern that this isn't just some talk to transformer of random generated text. Someone sat down and thought, yeah, let's make this a character, and wrote up a story. These aren't stock characters thrown together to make a game presentable, but rather something that someone spent at least 5 minutes working on. How much longer than 5 minutes? I don't know, I didn't read them. But really, they aren't just hollow, soulless characters. And at the very least, you can look at the subtle jiggle physics on the female character. Now, even though the title of the game prides itself on being heavily AFK oriented, there are some activities that you can partake in where you actively play a part in it. Of course, I still switched back to another game after battle started because you can never cut off my Metroid addiction. The one I actually played the most is called Arcane Labyrinth. In this, you move across a board with different tiles laid out in front of you. The path you take dictates the options you have on subsequent tiles, which only reveal themselves when you can actually move onto them. Tiles can contain enemies you fight, tents that allow you to recruit a hero for this board only, healing fountains, and all sorts of other stuff. Note that I said healing fountains, because the damage your heroes sustain will stay with you through each subsequent battle. If one of your characters dies, they stay dead. Yeah, they pulled a Fire Emblem on us, and I love it. Although there is a tile that actually allows you to resurrect a fallen hero back to half health, which is also nice. There's also this King's Tower mode, which is just waves of enemies that increase in difficulty over time. And then I tried this weird crossover promotion with Ubisoft that allows Ezio from Assassin's Creed to be a hero you can acquire, and I accidentally entered this battle that lasted 24 minutes. It was only when I left and looked at the description of the battle that I saw it was specifically just for training, and as a result, went on forever. Sorry, hard drive disk. I didn't mean to waste your time like that. Now, I'm gonna do something a little different and actually step out from the game itself. I wanted to talk about the game's community. Now, in the State of Survival video, I emphasized that the only thing resembling a community for that game was a bare-bones, emaciated wiki. Alongside that ghost town, there was actually an in-game chat that you could use. There was almost no talking to be done, though, because 90% of the users on there were bots advertising their clans or clubs or whatever the hell it was in that game. The 2 or 3 people, real people that actually said anything, didn't even interact with me or anyone else. Now with AFK Arena, there was not only a chat, but there was an entire Reddit-esque message board built into the game that's pretty damn active. I even saw that there were people who make original characters based in the AFK Arena universe. And I'm not talking about Sonic Recolor OCs. I mean, these are characters that I could legitimately see being added to the game. Some of the quality of the art looks like commissions that will cost upwards of $50 or more. When you have people drawing OCs, you know you've done something right. Or something very, very wrong. Luckily for this game, what they did was right. I made a post on the in-game message board and also the game's official subreddit to get feedback on what active players actually think about the game. The general consensus was that the game is decent to good, free-to-play is viable and actually enjoyable, there's good customer service, devs both listen to players and are also extremely generous with free codes and gifts, and also in general the community is decently young and sometimes toxic. First, we need to bring up the fact that these could all just be sock accounts. And unfortunately, I can't really say that's out of the question because there was only 25 people who posted about their experience. That many sock accounts could have easily been set up just for this. On the flip side though, I have no evidence to indicate that these people could be fake. If we were to consider how active both the subreddit and the in-game message board are, Occam's razor would imply that it's more realistic that these are just real people who play the game. I can speak from personal experience that the codes are pretty generous. About a month before I actually started putting together this video, I screenshotted a code that appeared in an ad for the game, and lo and behold, it actually did work when I put it in. User Calic— Sorry, I said the wrong name. Their username's actually Flower. Stated that a player named Chromos had obtained over 600,000 diamonds, which is the game's microtransaction-based currency, without spending a single cent. A quick Google search actually verified the truth behind this statement. A Reddit post from user HelliesPerPod showed an in-game screenshot with over 480,000 diamonds, a button on the side stating indirectly that he hasn't spent any money, and that he was on level 27. It is completely possible that this image was faked or that the user was using some sort of mod to give himself the money. I don't think this is the case though, because the post has nearly 500 upvotes and almost 150 comments. I'm almost certain that the mods would have made sure to verify this image to know if the user had been cheating. One last thing I wanted to mention is that user Demented Monkey stated that they actually utilize the game to de-stress after work. I can see why, because the game is extremely laid back, a very chill experience, and probably just a nice thing to look forward to after a hard day's work. So, in my personal opinion, I think this game's okay. 3 out of 5. At the end of the day, I can proudly say that humanity has won. We have found a mobile game that you can justify spending your time playing it. And I think this is probably the best thing to come out of 2020 so far. And thank you all for watching.